welcome to another episode of
The Smut Club,
the podcast where smut is better with friends. And it is two friends, classic Anna Katie mess around.
It's a classic Anna Katie mess around today. It truly is. Y'all, welcome to our crib.
Yep. Here we are.
This is our internet space. Y'all, we are reviewing
The Idea of You. Not you about me. You all over me.
You all over me. You
Featuring
inside of me.
Well, yes. Correct. And every hole imaginable.
Actually, we've covered every hole in this work of smutty fiction.
That's right.
Y'all may be familiar with The Idea of You from
The feature film.
With
critically acclaimed by me.
with Anne Hathaway, because we're Anne Hathaway.
Yes, ma'am.
And she
took this book and she said, let me make it better. Let me fix it.
I now understand everything so much better because I watched, so we've covered this, I think last week, a couple weeks ago on the pod. We watched it together with Brayden and Savannah. Such incredible, squealing, giggling, kicking our feet. Like, happiest movie. So good.
So good.
Third act breakup was devastating.
Sure.
But then everything was okay. So happy about that. Good vibes all around. Went in with high hopes into this book. And now I understand why Anne Hathaway was like, actually, I'm going to fix this problem.
She said, I read this. The structure's here. I'm going to fix it.
She literally said, I'm going to fix that. And it's such an empowering, like, I go through life and I'll like see terrible architecture and I'll edit it. I'll be like, if you would just have fixed that, then you would, and my brain will fix it. It's a great feeling. And I wish I had the power to just tear things down and fix them. Anne Hathaway has the power to read something that she dislikes or loves the bones of, and I think we'll cover that over and over
for sure
today, because there is so much goodness here.
Yeah,
so much goodness, so hot. There's such like crucial pain points that like had to be fixed, and Anne Hathaway did it.
Yes, and normally on this podcast we are diehard. Books are always better than the visual medium of them.
It's fascinating when that's not the case.
Yes, and I don't know, and I feel like that's the case if I watched the visual medium before I read the book. Typically, I do enjoy the book more.
Yeah, and
that I watched the movie first and I read the book, and I was like, you know what? I could have just lived with the movie in my brain.
Yeah, I will say there was so much more smut, and it was sprinkled in. It was just there was so much more smut in the book.
Sure,
which I was very into.
I thought the smut was good. However, I said
it was like partial scenes.
Yes. That was my complaint you'll read it in the review that I wrote.
It was, I think there were only a handful, which is still saying something, but there were only a handful of times where it was like date, foreplay, penetration, aftercare, like a full sexual experience.
Right.
That was not always the case. It was generally like you were popping into some stage of their sexual encounter. Or she's
saying like, after 4 orgasms, now we're going to have lunch. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't get to be a part of that.
Sure.
I don't care about your lunch.
It was wild to like pop in and out of the whole their sexual life.
Yeah.
This is wild. I have not really read a book like this.
No.
It's fanfic. It
is fan fiction, though typically in fan fiction we're kind of promised wish fulfillment.
We sure are.
And some of it is fulfilled, though not in the way that I liked.
But you know who got in the way of her wishes and dreams being fulfilled?
She did. She got in her own damn way.
In fact, the FMC herself. She ruined everything.
Stupid bitch.
That's a song. We're not just terrible people.
I'm not... the author, Robinne Lee, she is a beautiful writer.
Yeah.
The prose in this book is great. I enjoyed...
That was refreshing for me.
Yes.
To have a beautiful book. I was like, thank God.
Yeah. like the way that she wove the story together and built these characters. I think her writing is very beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think she built this story off of reality, and I don't like that. I don't live in reality.
You said this on one review or something, that we have this like sacred trust in the author. We place this trust, this agreement that you are going to safely guide us through a fantasy world in which dreams are fulfilled.
Everything's okay.
She comes first.
Yes, ma'am.
That true love wins.
Yes.
Like, that is the agreement in smut. And that is why it is, and that female sexuality will be, or that...
female sexuality is the center of our experience, which is not the case in the real world, but it can be in these books.
That is why, like, it's just such a good time. And so this is, for generations now, the romance world has understood this. And I feel like Robinne Lee...
She said, fuck that shit.
Betrayed us. So, book description on Goodreads. I'm going to mispronounce this because I heard it on the show. Solène.
Mm-hmm. Marchand. Marchand, if you're French.
50% of the co-hosts here speak French.
I don't speak French. I took French.
You can read French. Better that she can speak more French than me. Solène Marchand.
Marchand. Yeah, if you're French, Marchand. Yeah. Marchand if you're English.
Marchand.
If you're American. Yes.
Well, English would be...
Marchand.
Jay is really good at, like, pulling a Schmidt and, like, horribly mispronouncing words. It's fantastic. So that is how he would say it. But Solène Marchand, the 39-year-old owner of an art gallery in Los Angeles, which in Los Angeles, 39 is a dinosaur.
You could not pay me to live in LA.
I would actually, it would be harmful to my mental and emotional health.
Hell no.
And physical health.
And just driving around in traffic, not for me.
Oh, yeah. All I see is La La Land, like when we're tap dancing on cars.
Yes.
And so that part would be fun. The tap dancing on the cars would be interesting to me.
That does happen every day on the 405, I've heard.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that another day in the sun would be delightful. Again, fiction. Fiction is fun. Solène Marchand, a 39-year-old owner of an art gallery in LA, is reluctant to take her daughter, Isabel, to meet her favorite boy band. But since her divorce, she's more eager than ever to be close to Isabel, because this is about Isabel.
Everything's about Isabel all the time.
Important
Isabel
to note.
is 12. We'll get into it.
It's important to note that Isabel is 12 in this book.
Not in the...
16, 17,
graduating high school.
18
Yeah.
in the movie.
I think she's a junior in high school, I think, yeah.
Which also helped fix the problem. Capital T, capital P, trademark. The problem.
The problem.
The problem is Solène, but I don't hate her. I kind of do, but okay. I'm a feminist. I'm
a girl's girl. Also, a girl's girl points out when you're being self-sabotagey.
Yeah, like she's fucking her own life up.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. The last thing Solène expects is to make a connection with one of the members of the world-famous August Moon boy band. But Hayes Campbell is clever, winning, confident, and posh, and the attraction is immediate.
Sure.
What does he want to do to that mouth?
He wants to fuck her mouth.
Yeah.
He says those words to his friend, and eventually to her.
The day that he met her.
Yeah.
He leaned over to his boy band friend and said, I want to fuck her mouth.
Great.
He's 20.
He's a 20-year-old. I mean, he's a man.
Sure is.
He's 20 years old. And she's hot.
I'm in love with Hayes Campbell. I get the Harry Styles. I always have gotten the Harry Styles stuff, but now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
The attraction is immediate. That he is all of 20 years old further complicates things. What begins as a series of clandestine trysts quickly evolves into a passionate and genuine relationship. It is a journey that spans continents as Solène and Hayes navigate each other's worlds. Did she let him into her world?
No.
So I don't know that we can give her credit for that, because
she never let him in,
mm-hmm.
and then decided to follow him around, and then complained about following him around. Oh, wait, hold on a second.
We've got feelings. From stadium tours to international art fairs to secluded highways in Paris and Miami. For Solène,
the world traveling was really fun.
That was actually...
I enjoyed that.
that kept me super engaged.
I loved every chapter was like the name of another place.
So
it was like
fun.
LA, Tokyo, Paris, London.
That was super unexpected for a fanfic.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, you actually know about art and about world travel. Like, this is fascinating to actually read about. That brought me a lot of joy. Felt like I could escape. Paris, Miami. For Solène, it is reclaiming of self, as well as a rediscovery of happiness and love. Not for us. When Solène and Hayes' romance becomes a viral sensation,
because he went down on her on a boat. Hell yeah. Loved that.
Loved that. Not upset about that at all.
And if there's photos of it, oh well.
Well, blue dress on a boat.
Dress on a boat. They even said it in the conversations, like, at least he was the one going down on you.
He was like, it could have been you going down on me.
And that would have been worse.
That would have been, yeah.
So let's count our blessings here.
It's kind of hot.
It's super hot.
Also, like, anyway, we will get to the plot of this. But like, so many women were like, good for you. Yeah, get yours.
I know. And it's definitely like, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a whore, blah, blah, blah. That was, first of all, that was an invasion of your privacy. Like, that was a crime.
That was a private boat.
That was you were on a private boat, a private chartered boat in the middle of the ocean.
And then Lulette,
Luli, or whatever her name is.
Her co-owner, she said, male rock stars have been doing that since the dawn of time.
Yes.
They go get a private boat and they go to, where was it? Greece.
I think they were in the Mediterranean somewhere.
Yeah. Like, that's what they do. And then nobody gets a picture of that. They just let them fuck models on boats.
Yeah.
And like,
Leo does it all, like, in Saint-Tropez.
Yeah. In Saint-Tropez. And so, like, you were the one getting fucked. Like, this is not.
It's not a revelation.
Yeah. It was
an invasion of your privacy. It's okay to be hurt by that. But also, like, it's okay. You weren't doing anything wrong.
You're not doing anything wrong. I just wish that Solène could have.
I wish I could have been in Solène's place.
Like, I just wish that
I would have handled this so much better.
Just wanted to strangle her. When Solène and Hayes' romance becomes a viral sensation, and both she and her daughter become the target of rabid fans and an insatiable media, Solène must face how her romantic life has impacted the lives of those she cares about most. And let me tell you, the way that she faces it is why Anne Hathaway said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad she rewrote that, because like there was a better story to tell here, and Anne helped produce.
Thanks, Annie.
Yeah, she really did help fix it. But Robinne Lee's. Okay, this is the Smut Club's review.
The Smut Club's official review.
Let me tell you,
trademark
listeners, how many stars do y'all think that Katie Burke gave this?
I could have given it 1. But I didn't. I could have given it 2.
You were angry,
and I didn't.
You were angry. I would have. Okay, me personally, I would have given it 4. I think it's
even
bold.
with the ending. You're giving it 4?
The ending did keep me up last night.
Yeah.
I read it in the middle of the night.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
I think 3 is generous.
But like, I just feel like if you removed that and just imagined a happy ending and Solène getting out of her goddamn head.
I do agree with that, but that's not the book.
That's not the book.
That is
I know.
The true review of what happened in the book.
That is my rewritten version of what the book is.
Your rewritten version's a 5.
Look, I have an excellent skill of just editing something to be what I would like it to be. We both do.
So Anne Hathaway did that for us.
She really did. Incredible job. Yeah, so you're correct. The book as it is with the ending Robinne Lee really fucked it up with that last chapter, because the average rating on Goodreads is 3.6.
Yeah, people don't like it when things don't end the way they're supposed to, or the way that they would like them to end.
Yeah, and like that's a different genre.
Yeah,
you're thinking of a different genre.
That's drama.
Actually. Yeah, that's not the genre of smut.
Yeah,
smut is supposed to be a happy ending. Okay, your review read in our breathy review voice.
Let's go.
Robinne Lee's The Idea of You, sparking the inspiration for the recent Amazon Prime original movie with the same name, is every fan fiction reader's dream come true. The Idea of You is a truly thinly veiled.
Thinly veiled.
Especially in the movie. Like, I was not a One Directioner, y'all were. But it was Harry Styles. Like, it was
so obvious.
So cute. Thinly veiled, romanticized version of falling in desperate, Hopeless love with One Direction era Harry Styles. Our female main character, 40-year-old Solène, finds herself swept up in the swoon-worthy and adrenaline-filled life of the leading man of the world's most popular boy band, August Moon. Stupid-ass name.
Dumb
Boy
name.
band.
Though I think band names are supposed to be dumb, I feel like.
Do you feel like
Like
they
Maroon 5? That's a terrible band name. What is that?
Do you think that they're supposed to be?
The Beatles? What is- like, that's not a good name.
Your face. The judgment.
Think of a bug every time.
The Beatles. That is a stupid name.
I know. I love Beatles. I love their music. It's a dumb name. All band
That's
names
so
are
interesting.
dumb.
Are they all dumb though?
Queen is a great name. I think Queen is a
Well,
solid.
it's because Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury is
We're thinking of
so Queen.
We're thinking of
Yes, Queen.
of bands that have been named by straight men.
Correct.
Because I'm trying to think of like there's a like Florence and the Machine. That's amazing.
Great name.
That's her band, Florence and the Machine. Incredible.
Yeah.
People don't know her last name. Florence Welch. That's not her name. She's Florence and the Machine.
Florence and the Machine.
I'm trying to think of other like
Paramore. Great name.
and what's Phoebe Bridgers?
Oh, Boy Genius.
Boy Genius. Hilarious. Incredible name
Yeah.
for a band of female identified.
Metallica. Stupid.
Light misandry on the pod. So sorry. So sorry. Sorry, but not really sorry. Okay, back to the review. Our male main character, 20-year-old Hayes Campbell, who I would do such filthy things
I
to.
love him. So
oh
hot.
Oh my god. Has a thing for older women, and especially older women named Solène Marchand. This book is filled with dreamy wish fulfillment as we journey with Solène and Hayes all over the globe for sexy morning, midday, evening, and midnight trysts amongst the glittering performances to sold-out stadiums filled to the brim with teenage girls desperate to be in Solène's very expensive shoes.
She seems like she's got a lot of money.
She really does. They kind of downplayed in Anne Hathaway's version, made her more of like a average. Like she drove like a Subaru and like had like a a regular LA home. Solène in here, like she's married.
She lives in a multi-million-dollar home.
Her
in LA.
ex-husband, and she like has like a very successful career. Like she's doing just fine in a Range Rover.
A mid-century home in LA. You know how much money those things cost.
Like she's with an incredible view. Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
she's
she looks over the ocean.
Yeah,
ma'am.
But I think they were trying to make her more accessible which is a-okay. But yes, her shoes are very expensive. So much so that the pressure of fame is a constant point of conflict for this couple. It seems that at every turn, we are continually arguing, filled with unparalleled melancholy, and ultimately refusing to work on personal insecurities surrounding age and others' perceptions of us, regardless of the countless times our MMC made his intentions, thoughts, and feelings crystal clear.
Now, if I'm saying this, crystal fucking clear.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so angry.
I think that is a justified anger. That is truly, that was the...
He said his words, his actions followed, and still, she was like, I must be a worm.
This
Ma'am.
was the... What would we call that trope? Like, internalized misogyny? Is that the trope?
That's the internalized ageism.
Like the health and fitness industry?
I hate myself.
In the U.S.?
Like I could never love myself.
Let me tell you. It's a stupid fucking trope.
It's a stupid fucking trope. I don't like it.
And that is not from a place... Like, that is from a place of lived experience. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we all
It's not cool
carry it.
to not like yourself.
Like, it's devastating.
Yeah.
It, like, is deadly, actually. And it's important that people work through it. Like, but to see... She was just really... Wow. She couldn't possibly
work through any of that.
Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce.
Correct.
So I just always come back to that. Like, I'm going to need women to figure it out. This is from a person I myself am constantly trying to figure this out myself. Yeah. I live in the same culture. We all do. But yeah, like it sucks.
It's hard.
It sucks to read about women who are struggling with it.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks because it's like, come on.
I already am fighting with this every single day in my own brain.
Yeah. Like I want
to have characters that I can like.
I want to look up to you.
Yeah, glean inspiration from.
And I feel like the Solène in the movie,
like being 40 years old and being like, yeah, I'm hot as shit.
That was so.
I loved
that
it.
Gave me hope.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah.
You said when we talked about it, like I'm looking forward to aging, actually.
And I think that's what Anne Hathaway fixed. She was like, this has the power to be really, like, to make a political, social statement on how we view the invisibility of women as they age. Like, and she made it so. Instead of it being, I don't know, Solène's shame was just relatable, unfortunately, but, like...
Not fun to read.
Unhelpful.
Yeah.
Especially... it's fascinating because I'm sure people are going back in and reading this now.
Oh, I know, for sure.
Because the film has been so exciting. But yeah, I hope it starts some conversations. Final paragraph of this review. Sorry, we have things to say about the review. This book is hanging around a 3-star for us for a couple of reasons. First, for a book that will say some pretty explicit and racy things during dialogue, it fades to black more than it doesn't. This is true. He will say insane things and then like filthy.
And then we just don't ever read about it.
We did get the whole table.
The table was great.
My God.
She had a bruise on her cheek. I like that.
Hayes's love for Solène and rabid.
He's hot for her all the time.
I just kind of basked in the glow of that for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I was very into
that was great.
The adoration trope. Okay.
For sure.
Love me, worship the ground I walk upon. Okay, cool. For a book that will say pretty explicit, yes. It fades to black more than once. Yes, and that if fade to black irritates you, I will say there are so much sexual... There's a lot of sexual content in here. There are a lot of sex scenes.
Yeah.
But they are not always the full ones. As we are rewarded with an on-page sex scene, they are written as if Solène is simply reliving a memory, truly. Reliving a memory rather than experiencing it in real time. There is a distance. There's a dreamy quality.
Yes, it's like there's a hazy... Yeah. It's like... I picture like the Lavender Haze music video where it's covered in this like smoke.
You're right.
We're looking back over time.
It's very French and very like...
It's artsy.
Like, this is how it felt in this... And then there'll be like this raw, like whatever. And then it'll be like, and that was when I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this very like detached... But it'll be really vivid.
That's the word. It's detached. For sure.
Because it's written... like her looking back on this is how it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate her perspective.
Being in her mind is agonizing.
I understand. I will be 32 next week. Like, I am old to some, young to some. That is what it is. But like, I live in this culture. Like,
yeah,
I've, struggled with all of the things that others have. Like, it sucks. But I didn't need to read that from my FMC.
Yeah, I feel like it's just age is so complicated and
it is.
Like there's no right way to be the age that you are. Like,
yeah, there's no winning.
Like
the cards are in fact always stacked against you.
It doesn't matter how old you are. There's no right way to do it. I'm turning 30 this year.
Yeah.
In a few weeks, actually a month from today when we're recording. And like I'm mostly cool with turning 30. Like all of my friends are already 30.
It helps.
My partner's been 30 for a while. Like he's 32. Like it helps that people have already crossed this before me. I'm the last one other than Savannah.
They didn't die.
Yeah, everything. I mean, there's still some like I'm a person. I have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had...
It's a big milestone.
Yeah. And so we've got some summer birthdays in our office and we threw like a big combined birthday party. So I was talking to... I guess I'm the second young. I used to be the youngest, but then we hired my friend S, and now she's a little bit younger than I am.
Cutie.
And so I was talking to some of the people that were at the party, some of our principals, and I was like, just jokingly, I was like, oh, I resent having this party like this early because I'm not 30 yet. Like,
yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, 30, I feel so bad for you. I was like,
what?
Okay. I was like, all right.
It's internalized ageism.
Yeah.
It's not helpful.
Yeah. I was like,
also, it's saying that...
I'm not saying... I wasn't implying that I think that you're old. I was just... First of all, I was also just trying to, like, make a joke in this, like, weird corporate setting that we have.
Yeah, like, just trying to be silly.
Yeah.
It's just such a... Yeah, and that's why whenever I say my age, I feel like I have to, like, hedge my bets. I have to be like, I understand that that's really young for some folks. And I understand that some folks really are like, you have a dried up old uterus. Like, I get it that people will react in a way to my age, and there is no winning.
Yes, it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 4, 12, 17, 21, 30, 40, like there's
always,
no... Yeah.
Always be either too young or too old. At the same time, somehow.
At the same time. I'm both too young and too old. My kids think I'm old. My, like, coworkers think I'm
You're
infant.
a baby and it is just yet another way to write off women. And to pretend that they don't have the power that they do.
Yeah. It just decreases our value.
It's just yet another way, and women do it to women.
Oh, 100%.
It's yet another way to just write off your value and your existence and your validity. Because if you are constantly either too young or too old, then you can write off anything you have to say. Like, then what she's saying doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. She's a little old. I don't think... She's not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
She's too young. She doesn't have the experience. She doesn't understand.
Yeah. Like, I don't think people understand that, like, there is actually never a time that you will...
It's okay to be whatever age you are. And, like, I can't control it. Sorry. I have to keep aging.
It's so cruel.
I didn't ask.
It's so cruel, and it's what perpetuates our health and beauty industry here, because it's, because I can't control the aging.
Yeah, I just have to experience it.
Like, I can take care of myself, but, like, time is going to continue to pass.
Yeah.
So I just, out of my control, I just matter or don't matter. I don't know. Solène actually reinforced those narratives.
A lot of that.
She reinforced, and I understand that she was struggling with it, but I was so fucking rooting for her to overcome them.
Yes.
And it was such an opportunity to make a point.
Yes, for a 40-year-old woman to step into her power and say, like, no, I deserve to be happy. Like, I'm allowed.
That was the gut wrench.
Yeah.
That was the knife in the heart. I think that like, anger isn't quite the word for it.
You're allowed to experience joy.
It was grief. It was feminine rage.
Yes. Joy, sexuality, like, all of these feelings you're allowed to experience at, like, I mean, appropriate ages, obviously, but, like, 30, 40, 45, 50. Like, you're allowed to have...
And I understand that it was
free,
impacting...
happy sexual experiences.
It was impacting her daughter's life, but, like, she also refused to do the things that would have protected.
Also, what you're doing by... pulling yourself away from that is just reinforcing to your daughter that it's not okay for a 40-year-old woman to experience a fun, healthy sexuality.
Yeah. And it is like, do you know what you are not teaching her that you love her. You are teaching her that to be a martyr.
Yes.
That this is what good women do.
I'll just give up everything that makes me feel good so everyone else around me can be comfortable.
Let me tell you, whatever your hopes and dreams are, go for them. And she taught Isabel that, like, when things are hard, you quit. And that, like, when there is something I could do to make things easier on you, I'm going to not do them. In fact, I'm just going to martyr myself.
Right. Or...
She could have gotten security.
Like, Izzy's feelings were valid. Like, she was experiencing some, like, bullying at school.
Also, she refused to get her into therapy. She said, because somebody was like, does she have a professional she can talk to? And she's like, I don't want me to be the reason that she's back in therapy.
Ma'am.
That's selfish.
That's so selfish.
You want to talk about selfish?
Yeah, but, like, what you didn't teach Izzy how to move through those emotions at all. Like, you're going to experience disappointment and heartbreak for most of your life. She said
it at the end about love, and we'll get to it, but the quote was, like, love happens to you, and you, like, you have to choose what you do with it. And maybe Robin was, like, hitting the nail on the head. Maybe she was like, I know what's happening here, and it's fucked up, and I need all of y'all to see that this is what women do. Like, because she was pretty nail on the head of, like, we were all screaming at her to, like, Hayes, like, yes, it would not have been perfect, but, like, every sign was pointing to go. Yes. Move forward with this. This is what you could do in order to create boundaries. This is what you could do to create safety for you. This is what you could do. Yes, it is hard, but you know it is hard regardless. Like,
just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not worth it. Like,
yeah, and there are different kinds of hard. Like, their actual relationship was not hard. Like, their actual connection.
And they said that a whole bunch. Like, it's so easy when we're together. We just click. We just make sense. It's just
their goals, their personalities, their souls.
And then it's just whenever it happened so many times where, like, they would feel so happy and together. And then the moment he fell asleep, she's like, I hate everything about myself. Like, she would just spiral. I was like, girly, no. Take a Lexapro, go to bed. Like,
honey, it just, I don't know. Anne Hathaway nailed it in several ways, but one of them was the beginning of the movie. We could see how sad Solène was. And I'm not even done with this review, but we could see how sad Solène was. She was insecure.
That
She
scene
wasn't
in the
really
mirror
sure.
where she's taking her makeup off.
Yeah, like we could
So
see.
good.
Like we get it. But the beautiful thing was that she healed and she grew and she worked through her shit. And she said, that belongs to me, not to anyone else. That's my responsibility to sort through. I'm not going to hurt other people with my bullshit. And she took responsibility. She healed. She grew. She made a tough call. She was like, wait, let's press pause on this and circle back.
Yeah. Not right now. We'll try again.
Yeah, but that's
Like-
not because I'm a worm. That's because, like,
You've got to do some stuff. I've got to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Izzy's going to
The
go to
timing's
school.
not quite right.
Yeah.
Let's circle back professionally. It was, but it wasn't because she believed that she was a piece of shit
No.
or that she was afraid of aging. It was, wow. I haven't, it was a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
A cautionary tale.
For sure.
Let me wrap up this description and then we can get angry again. Because I think the reason why if this was just a shitty romance and a shitty relationship, we wouldn't have cared this much. We wouldn't have cared this much
Right.
that Solène
Like if he was
being
toxic and we were like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah. That is why I was like, oh no.
Ma'am.
Because this was love.
Yeah.
This was the real thing. This is real. And she threw it all away.
Into the garbage.
Okay.
She's but a worm.
But a worm. Okay. Yes, distance. She's reliving the memory rather than experiencing it in real time, which is kind of like a lavender haze. Like, it's not as like visceral as some of the smut that we've read. Second, and perhaps the most important thing to know about this book, there is not a happy ending for those two star-crossed lovers. As romance readers and connoisseurs of happily ever afters, reading a wish fulfillment book that doesn't actually fulfill our wishes is actually pretty devastating. It really is.
It's devastating.
I was unwell.
Yeah.
That was really kind of traumatic.
Yeah, it was.
We understand that, yes, what happened in the story is based deeply in realism. But here in the Smut Club, we like to live in a world where the idea of Hayes Campbell can be so much more than that. Ooh, good circle back. Good incorporation of the idea of you. Whew, 3 stars, feels fair. Feels generous in light of how angry I was at. The whole time I'm like, well, maybe I'm not 40 yet. I just can't understand. But I'm like, no, I am a woman and I am aging and I have like experienced infidelity and pain and like I'm but a worm. Like, but I've had to heal and grow through it. And I don't know. You're on your own, kid. Like, that belongs to you. You are wherever you go, there you are. Work through your stuff. And I don't know. We're going to get into it. We would not be like, yet again, there is some really good, delicious content in this book.
Oh, for sure.
And that is why we are reviewing it. But we will not be angry the whole time, we promise. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I actually have most of my notes are more positive than they are negative.
Incredible. So. I think anyone finishing that book has something to say.
Yeah.
I would hope.
For sure. Okay, so on page 9, we are jumping right into meeting August Moon and all of the hellacious, like, just insane energy that goes with, like, being around that many feral teenage girls.
There's really something about it.
Yeah. I was not prepared for the onslaught, the roar, the pitch, the energy level of so many adolescent girls at the peak of arousal. That all of this could be for boys that we just left in the basement seemed inconceivable. They were bewitching, yes, but still flesh and blood. Now, as I am a certified fangirl. Like, I've been in one of these shrieking girls before.
God.
And it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a really contagious, kind of terrifying energy.
Just like, I mean, there's a lot of descriptions of when they're trying to get through crowds and there's fans and paparazzi around. Like, she describes it as stifling. Like, they can't move, she can't see. Like, all she has to do is like hold onto his arm and he has to like muscle through the crowd. Like, that's horrible.
Yeah,
I get
kind of traumatizing.
Yes,
I mean, they really drove the point home though. That like
it was hard.
It was hard and scary, and I get it. Like that. Like I truly believe that it is.
Yeah,
it's a real problem, and no spoilers yet. Yeah,
from the beginning, Solène was like dead set on, I'm not doing this. This is not appropriate. This is not okay. And like, I get it to have like some kind of logical part of your brain saying, I don't know, people might think this is weird. And sure, I understand that.
Like, that's an enormous age gap.
It's an enormous age gap.
No judgment. It just is.
Yeah. And people will have things to say about it.
And traditionally, like, we allow men to do that. We don't allow women.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes. We are bought into why she's upset. We just wanted her to overcome that.
Yes. On page 13, there hadn't been many since Daniel, a series of dates with one of the dads from Isabel's fencing team, and a 2-month dalliance with the TV writer from my spin class. Neither had been consummated. Okay, so she hasn't had sex since Daniel, which is kind of like a retelling of a virgin trope, which I like. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, it really was.
Once they threatened to go beyond casual flirtation, I'd closed up. I'd shut down. And while 3 years of accidental celibacy had been oftentimes miserable, I was not going to jump in bed with a rock star, barely half my age, because he'd winked at me at an after party. I was not going to be a cliche. Now, being a cliche is not a bad thing. Like, things are cliches because they are common.
Yeah. I am so much like other girls.
I am.
I want to be like the other girls.
Why do you think I have 2 Stanleys? I want to be like the girlies.
Girlies, I've painted my last 2 offices pink. A tasteful pink.
I'm just like other girls.
But I'm making a point.
Yes.
Because I'm saying femininity is not weakness. It is not unintelligent. It can be, like, femininity is the point. Like, I am unapologetically feminine. And this is, I could go off on a big old tangent, but in fundamentalism, like, femininity was like enforced in like biblical gender roles and all this shit. And it was very much something I had a strong aversion to. And I was like, I have to be feminine because that's what God wants me to be. But I didn't choose it. And now it has been this, like, reclaiming this empowering, like, I get to choose. I get to be super girly. Like, we have a pink smut club. Like, I get to lean into, I think, you know, we will always hold dear our girlhood summer last year of just Barbie movie and Eras tour and the Beyonce tour and just Renaissance tour. All of this girlhood and silliness.
Yeah.
And it is, femininity is not weak. This quote right here is page 10. It's a little, going back just a second, but there was some real wrestling within Solène that we got to really, really chew on here.
For the whole book.
Relentlessly, actually.
Nonstop.
Maybe, like, the B plot of the whole book was just Solène's inner wrestling.
Yes.
The A plot was the little smutty goodness of things. But she says, but then so this is, well, I'll just read it. The rush, the hormones, the heat from the stage, the idea that they were longed for and lusted after by so many made them exponentially more appealing. And for a brief moment, I thought I could let myself go in the madness. But then I realized how indelicate that would seem, how unbecoming. And I remembered who I was supposed to be at my core. And whatever wanton adulation might have occurred, I stopped it before it could take root.
So that's what we call in the biz a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. You know who
you set yourself up,
who blocked yourself.
That was you.
You did this to yourself.
You stood in the path, your own path. You stood in the way of it.
I have legitimately never read something like this where I was like,
get the fuck out of your own way.
And maybe this is above us. Maybe Robin was like, yeah, I'm saying this on purpose. I need for y'all to see, like, don't do this. Well, don't. Yeah, but no, wow. But yes, she's like, I've got to be. And there is a cute little moment in the movie where she kind of is like in the crowd and she's like standing still and she's like, I could get swept up in this. And it's kind of playful that this is what's going through her mind.
It is also wild to me that, like, she holds all the power in this relationship, all of it. She could say one thing to the press and ruin this guy's life. Like, you have so much fucking power here. So
any girl that they're sleeping with, like, unless they're signing an NDA, like especially after we heard about the Japan situation.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was horrible.
Traumatic, honestly. But she holds all the power and Hayes is just begging her.
I know. It's like, girl, I don't see how this could go wrong for you. Like, maybe I'm dumb, but, like, where can it go wrong other than the fact people are going to say things, and they're always going to say something. Even if you don't do it, they're going to say something.
That's the thing. That's the thing I've really just stepped into.
Yeah.
Is that people are always going to have something
they're
to
gonna say something.
Because I'm a woman in this culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always either too much or not enough.
That's right. Okay, later on down this same page, straight, Anne Hathaway yanked this straight from the book, placed it in a different scene, still just as effective.
Hot.
I could be your mother, you know, but you're not. But I could be, but you're not. He held my gaze, smiling his half smile. I felt it then, that little flip-flop in the pit of my stomach that told me whatever this 20-year-old something was doing, it was working. The flip-flop is so real.
I also actually...
The flip-flop.
I got butterflies unlike any other book, actually. Just reading about how in love he was. And just some raw sexual goodness.
Yes. He's like, I'm 20 years old.
But you're not. I love forbidden love. I think that's what it is.
It's hot. It's hot.
This was so forbidden and so good. Is it working? Is it working? Does this work for you?
Yes. It absolutely does.
Indeed.
Page 15. So this is... Solène talks a lot about how her thoughts are indecent. I'm like... If they are, I have not read any. You don't say them out loud. It's just in your brain. I don't get to read about it.
She couldn't possibly say it out loud. She couldn't have her own independent want and need.
Yeah. I play very well. I just don't share. I smiled up at him, taken, his face like art, his mouth distracting, and that which crossed my mind was not all pure.
That which crossed my mind was not all pure.
This is what I'm like. The writing is like.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like reading a poem.
It is. There was some real beauty to it that I really loved. I will say the audiobook, I like supplemented some with the audiobook, and it was I couldn't do the audiobook reader. Like I get that she kind of fit the dreamy quality of the book, but just very there was also so much playfulness. Like Hayes was such a playful guy.
Yeah.
That I feel like it's not appropriate to have the dreamy, like sexual, deep, moody narrator whenever it's just like silly, like they're playing, they're falling in love. So I don't know, I preferred to read it. That's just a heads up for y'all.
Okay, so page 57. This is to be noted, 16% into this book, we are already getting a spicy scene, which I appreciate.
Oh yeah.
It's long, it's hot. I deeply enjoyed.
Y'all, don't let our distaste for Solène keep you from reading how hot this
just
mud
stop
is.
before the end of the book, and then you'll be...
No, literally. It will only break your heart.
Yeah. He kissed me again and again and again, his mouth moving over my shoulder, toward my neck, to the crook just behind my ear. He breathed me in, and I could feel it in my toes. His mouth, his tongue, his teeth on my flesh, his hand moving up over the sequins of my top to stroke my throat, angling my head toward his. He smelled of soap and scotch, and he tasted... warm. I turned to him, devouring his mouth, and oh, the feel of his hair in my hands, thick and smooth and substantial. I probably pulled on it a little too hard. We moved to the bed. Later on down the same page, Hayes hoisted me atop himself with ease, and I quickly became aware of just how inconsequential my clothing was.
Yeah.
Her clothing is so inconsequential at any time in this book.
He immediately...
Her clothes are on more than they are not.
Yeah, he's like, those are not a barrier to me.
Like,
I will remove that. I don't think she takes off a single piece of her own clothing.
No, she's wearing her clothing most of the time.
And he either removes it or moves it to the side.
Yeah.
He's like, we're good.
It's so good.
It is... delicious.
There, like, I can think of maybe like 2 instances where they are both fully naked.
That's true. That's true.
It's always like his hand's in my skirt.
It's so fun.
It did not matter that I was still wearing my skirt. No.
Case in point.
I could sense his solidness beneath me, the breadth of his chest, the tightness of his stomach, his thighs. Jesus fuck. Was that his dick?
Yes.
His dick is huge.
His dick is huge, which we all saw coming.
We knew it.
But this, yeah, indeed.
Okay, page 58, next page. In no time, his hand was between my thighs again, forcing my skirt up north of my knees. Down to your knees. Girlie, what kind of skirt is this?
Sometimes we can't know.
I'm not taking it off, he said, but at that point it didn't matter. I would have let him. So, but prior to this, she's like, hey, we're not going to have sex. Like, we're just going to hook up. Like, we're going to make out, and we're not going to have sex. He shifted above me, his mouth melting into mine, his hips pinning me to the bed, his fingers still titillating. What a word. Do you want
his dominance palpable. Yeah. We'll get to it.
Do you want me to stop? No. You sure? His voice was low, raspy. His hand reached my crotch, and by then I was so wet it was hard to discern where my panties ended and I began. Yes. I'm not taking these off either, he reassured me, his hand stroking the thin material. I'm not even going to push them to the side, and I'm still going to make you come. Yes, sir.
Holy shit.
And so this is what I mean, like, I'm not going to push them to the side. I'm going to keep them on. I'm going to still make you come. Page break. He kept his word. So, like, that's the end of that scene. So that's a fade to black.
Yeah. I see.
The lead up is super hot. I enjoyed all of that, but like the description of him actually touching her is not there.
So we touched on this a few weeks ago that I don't know if it's my imagination or if like the unsaid of it all works better for me sometimes. I don't know, but sometimes I'm like, I think that's hotter than her, like, not hotter. I think I would love it if like she went on to describe the entire sexual encounter. Mm-hmm. But because he then the next paragraph she talks about it like in past tense. She's talking about it like looking back on. Yeah. It's like you're in the thick of the moment. This is what he's doing in present tense, and then it's like,
and then it jumps ahead.
It's her telling like
postcoital, and it's like, this is what happened.
Yeah, stick a gum.
Yeah, exactly. So, postcoital gum.
Yes, but he's always like, she's always describing it like the actual. Yeah, so that is frustrating, but I don't know. I think the perspective shifts were not as frustrating to me for whatever reason. I didn't even notice that in the moment. I was aware that like, oh, she's kind of giving parts of a lot of different sexual encounters.
I thought it was hot. I just was like,
but some smut readers, this would be infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't keep track, but I'm not sure that there is an entire like start to finish sex scene in this book. I think it's all broken up like this. I mean, on the very next page, she's looking back. The way he touched me, unhurried, focused, exact. He knew precisely what he was doing. His movements accelerating, then slowing down repeatedly, taking me to the brink, then stopping, teasing over and over again, his fingers pushing inside of me, his thumb massaging my clitoris, the pressure intense, and all this through my underwear. God bless him. Okay, that's beautiful. That's the description that you could have put. Like, why did you... Now we're just looking back at it.
It's art.
It's art.
It's art. But no, this is not usually how smut is written.
Yeah, I think if you just copied and pasted that like right after that scene, like you finished it.
Just change the tense of the verbs.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's like this will they, won't they, like past tense, present tense. Like that is very much the pace of the book. That's the pace, that's the tone, that's the whatever.
It's very like... We are looking
push
back
and pull and in the moment, out of the moment, and how I felt in retrospect and how I felt at the time, and it flows really naturally when you're reading it.
Yes,
but yes, that's true. She could have just continued the story.
Okay, and then page 61. So instead of like the way that he checks in with her is so sweet. He asks her, "Are you happy?"
So attentive.
Are you happy?
Are you happy?
Not, are you good? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you happy?
Yeah, I love that.
I love that. Ma'am.
Because am I good? Yeah, like I'm good. I'm a grown woman.
I'm great actually.
Like I'm fine. I'm a woman.
Like happy encompasses so much more.
Yeah, are you happy?
Like, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm okay. But like,
yeah,
I know this was a big deal.
He actually cares about her happiness.
Her feelings, her thoughts.
Yeah. He is an incredible partner. Like,
yes.
Oh my God.
All right. So now we're in the Côte d'Azur, I think, in France. We're
magic.
We're Tristan away, folks. Page 87.
So many trysts.
24% into this book. Page 87.
I long for our trysts.
That's right. His mouth was moving up along the... I love this.
What page?
87, about 24%.
I loved every one of there.
His mouth was moving up along the inside of my thigh, his tongue tracing lazy circles, his movement slow, maddening, and at the moment when I thought he would land, he aborted his mission and moved to the other thigh, like a cunnilingus flyby.
I laughed with that,
Hilarious.
too. That's so good.
I must have pulled on his hair because he laughed, raising his head. For someone who only wanted to cuddle, you're awfully impatient. I just wanted to make sure you knew where you were going. Do you want to draw me a map? He smiled.
He makes it really clear that he knows.
Yeah, those fucking dimples. Do you need one? I don't know. He lowered his head and then ran his tongue slowly, explicitly over my clitoris before looking up at me.
Stem to stern.
My heart all but flipped out of my chest. No, you're good. Yeah, can I do this my way now? I I'm not going to be asking any questions. Like,
To be 20?
sir.
And she makes the point over and over that he is a better lover, more experienced than anything that she's like. This is mind blowing for her. She's like, what?
Also, yet another infuriating thing is she is constantly jealous of people that he's been with before, and for what fucking reason? I don't. And he says it. It's like, before I knew you, I didn't know you existed.
Yeah.
How could I possibly know?
I can't do anything about that.
I'm sorry. Like,
yeah. You were married.
Yeah. You had a kid with another man, but
Yeah.
here we are.
Mm-hmm. I know.
That was frustrating.
But it's the age thing. Like, it's like, she like, it was interesting to see her like with the other bandmates with their partners. Oliver could have punched in the face.
Sucked.
He did get punched in the face.
Yeah. Well, no, Hayes got punched in the face by
right.
Oliver.
Oh my God. Oliver, I love that we hinted at, anyway, yes, we'll get to it, I'm sure. But yeah, she was comparing herself to the other girls. And like, yeah, the insecurity is real.
Sure.
And there will always be, I don't know. Pitting women against women is just so unhelpful.
Okay, page 93, the end of this encounter. They're laying in bed, chewing their postcoital gum. Love that for them.
Oh my God.
Don't go falling in love with me, Hayes Campbell. I'm not going to fall in love with you. I'm a rock star. We don't do that. You're a boy band member. I smiled, fingering his hair. His eyes widened, then his mouth formed this perfect O. I assumed he was going to scold me, but then he stopped himself, his face settling into a wry smile. Well, he said, I guess all bets are off then. Oh. Ma'am, he told you from the beginning.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm serious about this.
Yeah. I mean, for a 20-year-old especially, I really struggled to find a flaw with Hayes Campbell.
There's not one.
I think that's the point. Like, he is human, like he's not like he is startlingly mature.
Yes.
And grounded and responsible and healthy. Remarkably well adjusted, as he says. Like, he's a great guy.
He's a grown man.
She had to actively find problems. She was like, no,
she created problems.
She created
She was like
problems.
digging in holes. Ha-ha! A problem.
Here we are. This is too much. I don't know. Or if there were problems, she refused help. Like,
right.
Like cameras in her home.
Or like if she was having like she was spiraling and he's laying right next to her, like right there. And instead of talking about it, she's like, I'll just cry myself to sleep, I guess. Like, ma'am, he is right. He will talk to you.
Like, he was not the problem.
No, he was not the problem.
And that's what should be noted, that like the 20-year-old boy band member was not the problem here.
No.
The 40-year-old grown-ass woman was, in fact,
she was the problem.
Robinne Lee, come on.
So, the best parts about this book, the smut, obviously, best part. Second best part, gallivanting around the world.
So fun.
Loved
we
it.
haven't gotten this in smut that I've read at all.
I love to gallivant.
Give me a gallivant. Describe it.
If I had enough money, I'd be gallivanting.
Tell me. Yes.
You'd catch me gallivanting all over the damn place.
Take the Smut Club live on tour.
Yes.
We're going to gallivant.
Coming to your city. We'll gallivant to your city. Read smut live on stage.
It's just so playful. Oh, yes, that would be fun. It's just so playful. It's so festive. It's so, like, even with the boys there, like, Hayes, like, we're really driving the point home that, like, Hayes is making the plans. Hayes has made the reservations. Hayes has booked the correct hotel. Hayes has
He's done it all.
If he wanted to, he would. And Hayes wanted to, and so he did.
So the interaction that Anne Hathaway has at the pool with the models, and that doesn't really happen in this book, but I think that is what...
That's like a microcosm of...
She pulled that, like, the way that she was feeling, and
it's
was
a
like...
composite.
This is how she was feeling the whole fucking book. I'm going to put it right here.
Yeah.
You can see it. We'll resolve it, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, that's what Anne Hathaway did. She said, oh, this insecurity, capital I insecurity, like, this is it in a scene.
Let me show you what it was like.
Yeah, but basically Solène was only ever okay with Hayes if it was just her and Hayes.
Yes. Anyone else around, she's like, I am horrible. Who could love a worm like me?
Or she was, like, horribly overstimulated. It was just...
Yeah.
We want better from our FMCs.
Page 127. The house in Bridgehampton was a sprawling 9,000 square foot shingle-style manse on 3.3 acres of manicured lawn, complete with pool house, tennis courts, a putting green, formal gardens, and a home theater. Naturally, it was fully staffed. We would want for nothing.
Take me there.
How do we get?
I think we go to an August Moon concert.
Hayes,
and
I would never treat you the way Solène treated you.
Hayes, let me tell you how. I mean, he's so thoughtful. I'm like skimming through, and
yes.
He left a note. Sorry, I'm not there to greet you. Feel free to keep my bed warm. Back after 1 H. His penmanship was surprisingly neat. I just can't.
He's so sweet.
He's perfect. But yeah, no, the producers are paying for a lot of their stuff. Their recording label is. But.
That's right. Page 136. We lay there for a bit, side by side on the lounge, kissing, and it felt like high school. So innocent and pure. I feel so high school. Touch me while your bros play Grand Theft Auto. Literally. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the good parts of the relationship. Girlhood. Yeah. Like, it felt like high school. Like, they're sneaking away.
Like his boyish, like his crinkling eye.
Yes.
Like the boyishness, like it's only the good kind of boyish.
He was charming.
Like it's only like his playful, anytime he was like, fully a 20-year-old kid. A kid feels weird to say for the filthy things.
He's a grown man.
He is, wow, a grown man.
He says some wild
shit.
Oh
my god. But he anytime, it was just like the magic of high school.
The magic of high school.
Precious.
Couple pages later, and it was just the sound of him moaning and crickets and the ocean and summer and his dick in my mouth, and it was perfect.
Absolutely.
I wrote
that should be the back of the book.
I've had one glass of wine. This is fucking hilarious.
And it was just the sound.
His moaning, crickets, ocean, summer, and his dick in my mouth, and it was perfect.
Yes. A Taylor Swift lyric if there ever was one.
Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. His dick in my She does love going down on him.
Okay, yep. So a little bit later, we're gallivanting still.
Of course.
Page 144. Later, we would have sex again and again and again.
Yes.
3 agains, and he would manage to make me forget that at this moment I was angry. So, for a book that people seem to swoon over, it really fades to black a lot.
Yeah. It really does. And I think you've mentioned this with other books, like the dialogue is often really filthy. And what they allude to is often really filthy. And so we sometimes do get like an explicit moment of a sexual encounter, but it often is just alluding to something in a really filthy way.
Yes, 100%.
In a really explicit, like fun way that we're like, we would love to experience that with you if you would give us more information.
Yes. Well, let's experience.
I filled in the blanks.
This is my favorite scene in the whole book. I love it with my whole heart. I highlighted so many passages. Gather around the campfire for page 155, about 43% into this book. Hayes has come to Solène's mid-century house.
Sure has.
He's looking around.
Oh my god.
He's appreciating the beauty of her home.
The furniture.
And he really likes this dining room table. I imagined my dining room table.
As you should.
My dining room table is like a what is it?
Yeah,
what do you call
beautiful.
it? Like a raw wood. Mm-hmm. Like it's finished, but it's like raw edges.
The edges, yeah. This is mid-century, so it's Swedish. Yeah. Oh my god, this is so fun.
It's so fun.
It's such a good scene.
I made my way to him at the table's head, where he was once again gazing out at the view, the lawn, the sky, the sea, the dipping sun. This house has got to be like there's how much money?
Yeah, the movie changes that.
It's like selling Sunset. Like they're paying millions of dollars.
Very, very wealthy. Yes.
Hayes reached for my hand, then without warning, twisted my arm, turning me away from him. He did not speak, letting my wrist loose and placing his palm firmly at the center of my back, folding me until I was bent completely over the table, the rosewood smooth and cool against my cheek. Oh, rosewood, it's like red.
Yeah.
He took his time, his hands climbing the sides of my thighs, lifting my skirt, peeling off my underwear.
Absolutely, yes.
I could hear him unfastening his belt and zipping his jeans, and then the maddening lull. My eyes were on the showpiece, the colors blurring, evocative, while I anticipated the crinkle of the wrapper. It did not come. I felt him against me suddenly, hot and swollen. You're not wearing a condom. I'm not. I lifted my head to look back at him, but he did not speak. I made a choice, he said. His words sat in the air heavy. So they had spoken before about
being exclusive.
Yes, being exclusive. I wrote Jesus Christ.
And she could not say the words, I want for you to be exclusive with me. And he was like, do you want that? I want that.
He's like, I haven't been.
Do you want to just be with me? Because that sounds great to me.
Yeah.
So he continually was like, yeah, let's do that. But she was like, you could never. You could never.
You're Hayes Campbell. You could never be loyal to me.
So she was pulling a mom move there of like, you don't know your own mind.
Yes.
Oh, God, it made me so mad.
And so they were basically had a conversation about like, we're always going to use a condom until you firmly decide like you're not going to be fucking anybody else. And this is his clear communication. I made a choice.
Yeah.
This is my choice.
And this is how I'm going to tell you about it.
Right here. In the middle of it, with his hands gripping my hips and the sound of his balls slapping against my skin. That is dirty. I enjoyed this so much.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is dirty smut. This is not just like romance.
No,
like she's explicit. And so it's wild that, yeah.
I had the thought that perhaps this table had experienced this before. Some Danish 1950s housewife, her pale thighs banging along the smooth edge, making the most of the Scandinavian design with a casserole in the oven and the kids upstairs in the playroom. Ma'am, let's get our head back. You're thinking about. Let's get our head back in the game.
That's where your mind went.
Whatever works for you, I guess. But
yes,
that's not where my mind was.
Generational bend me over piece of furniture.
Yes. Mm-hmm. After, when he'd collapsed atop me and I was once again lying with my face on the cool rosewood, so close I could not count the striations in...
Striations,
Sure. In the buffed grain, I had the realization, this is what it was like to be fucked on art.
So good.
So good.
You missed this paragraph here. She came just by seeing the veins in his forearm.
Same.
Yeah, like...
This is what I wrote. Something I'd like to research, I think.
For science.
For science, I think this is an important data point.
Yeah, I think that needs to be looked into for sure. It just... Hayes Campbell is such a posh, wonderful... This is such a great juxtaposition whenever we have an MMC who is kind, attentive, considerate, respectful, so responsible, like... A grown man. We love this energy. To then turn around and be literally
so fucking filthy.
So filthy in the bedroom. Like Streets and Sheets. It is such a great balance of Streets and Sheets. We are upstanding and have integrity in the streets. And in the sheets, we are so dirty. And that brings me so much joy.
Yes.
So
the Streets and Sheets
Robin nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, he's a perfect MMC.
Yeah.
He's dedicated. He's loyal. He's hot as fuck. He's so dirty. And he's clear in his communication.
Green flags.
Yes. Man on human. TikTok with green flag.
Like he has emotion. Like he's not like a flat character. Like he's human.
And he's so honest. He's like, yes, I've been with other women before you.
Yeah.
I'm in a boy band. Like I've had opportunities.
Well, and he talks about how hard it is to be in the band and how, like, I don't know, like he's a whole person.
He's a whole person.
He just has integrity and he's
hot.
Oh my God. I'm so angry at Solène.
Page 180. He did 3 things seemingly at once. Lifted me off the floor, thrust his dick inside me, and placed his wet fingers in my mouth. Oh my God.
I was listening to that one when
he had his hands inside of her. I don't know, man. I enjoyed that.
And wait, they were having a conflict before that. And he was like, I don't know. He just Some of this was very
she was like trying to fuck him in the elevator and he's like, no, there's cameras in here. We cannot do that. Like I'm a public figure. And so she's like mauling him in the hallway and then they finally get inside.
And he takes care of business.
Yes. Okay. 3 things seemingly at once. Lift me off the floor, thrust his dick inside me, placed his wet fingers in my mouth, and suffice it to say, I forgot every dark thought I'd had 2 minutes prior. So this happens a lot. Where she is like spiraling in her brain, they have sex, and she forgets to even like confront the feelings that she was having before. Like, heaven forbid we even
talk about it.
Process our feelings, talk about them.
And it's not for lack of Hayes trying, or for Hayes like bringing the subject up. Like he's constantly like, let's talk about this. Like let's be in an actual relationship.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm too hung up on my insecurities.
And so many times he's asking her. like, please don't leave me. I'd like you to talk to me before you decide you just want to up and leave. Like, there's 2 people in this relationship, and I would like for you to have a conversation with me.
If we want to talk about ageism, she, in fact, robbed him of any opportunity to be an adult.
Of all of his autonomy, actually.
Yeah, she made the choice for him that he was too young to her.
No,
like, that's what
you don't get to do that.
And I'm about to read a great example. So they fuck filthily in the hotel on his birthday. He nodded again, drowsy. It was great. It was better. You got it highlighted too. It was better than great. I like you loud. Happy early birthday. Oh, her birthday. Happy early birthday, Solène Marchand. He drifted off for a second. And when I kissed him, he whispered, I'm falling in love with you. I'm just going to put that out there because I can. Because you told me I couldn't if I was sleeping with anyone else, and I'm not. So there you have it. Shh. I put my finger over his mouth. You're talking in your sleep. I'm not sleeping, he said, his eyes still closed.
I'm not sleeping. I'm telling you
I know what I'm saying.
I'm telling you how I feel.
Don't write this off. Yeah. Oh, and then this was so sweet. Oh my God. So the big thing is that Daniel never understood her. And that's another thing. Like, honey, you've been partnered with someone. You know what it feels like to be with someone who's off. Like, this is not quite a match. We don't see eye to eye on things. There are a lot of pain points that are actually never getting resolved. Like, it kind of sucks. Like, Daniel did not care about her art, and she not only runs an art gallery. The book gave a lot more depth to this, but she's running a I don't know, social justice.
Yeah,
she's trying to feature artists,
and she's traveling all over the world for her art.
Like, this is actually a big deal, and she's passionate about it, and it's growing, and she built it with her friend, and it's a big deal, and it matters on a lot of levels. But Daniel never really
he didn't care about it.
He wrote it off. But so he says, I'm not sleeping. We were quiet for a long time. There on the floor. Fuck me on the floor.
Yes.
Until I could feel his semen seeping out of me.
Yeah.
Dripping
Dirty.
between my thighs. All the little hazes and Solene's.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
So, I mean, explicit.
Yes.
It's frequently explicit. How do you suddenly know so much about art, Hayes? For a moment, he didn't respond, and I was certain he'd passed out. But then he smiled, faint. I read a book.
He read a book.
You read a book? He nodded. 7 days in the art world. I thought I should probably learn something more about what you do. And in that instant, I was thankful he was half asleep, because asleep, he could not see me cry. Just accept the love he's giving you.
He read a fucking book. He doesn't know anything about art, and so he's like, well, I'm going to read this book and learn.
Ma'am. And that is bars on the floor. Have interest in what your partner's into. But also, Daniel did the opposite. Daniel didn't care and wrote it off for years, and it was always something important to you. But Hayes knows you for a few weeks and is like, I'm going to invest myself in what matters to you.
Okay. So on page 188, this is not too long after that. We are going to have the same argument we've already had 100 times. I'm entirely too old for you, Hayes. I don't think you truly believe that. I mean, do you like me? Do you not have fun when we're together? Do you feel like I have a problem following the conversation?
No.
He's like, what is it?
He's, in fact, far better than her old-ass, stupid ex.
She says, no, but I don't think you really believe that. If you did, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I think you care what other people might be thinking or saying, and that's what's fucking you up. Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not about this. This is okay. We're okay. You're messing this up.
And he really does call it out.
Yes.
And it's so refreshing to because I feel like with every, so we had watched the movie and there was a happy ending of the movie, and then there was this, but I kept thinking oh, this is going to be the conversation that shifts her, and she's going to stop this madness, and she is going to just accept the love that he is giving.
Yes.
And he is because he's always giving, even when the paparazzi and everything got really bad and the hate crimes got bad, it was there were ways to resolve that and create protection. I couldn't help but think of Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor and Joe versus Taylor and Travis, which from what we can tell, Joe was oh, paparazzi, it's an unsafe world, and fans, so let's lock up in a house. Versus Taylor and Travis, where it's okay,
they're going to be there,
but we can live.
Yeah.
And it was just there are ways.
He was a hot house flower to my outdoorsman.
Yes. There are ways to live with this level of
people do it all
scrutiny.
The time.
Celebrities are doing it all the fucking time.
It's hard.
Solène,
it sucks.
She just used it as
an excuse.
Yeah. And he called that out. And so I kept thinking that she would come around.
Yeah, so my note here was, this is before I even finished the book. I wrote, I will reserve my thoughts as I learn the rest of the plot, but I'm starting to think that Solène is the problem. And she is.
Yeah.
So Hayes is saying, I'm really happy when I'm with you. I get the feeling you feel the same way. And if that's true, I don't think you should give a fuck what people may or may not think of our age difference. Furthermore, he says furthermore because he's a grown-ass man.
Yeah. Furthermore.
If our ages were reversed, no one would bat an eyelash. Am I right? So now it's just some sexist
He's making the point.
Yes. It's just some sexist patriarchal crap, and you don't strike me as the kind of woman who is going to let that dictate her happiness. He's saying, you can choose.
It is.
Yeah, you can choose to let this misogyny dictate our relationship, or you can choose to let it not.
Yeah. Like, the 20-year-old is calling her out.
This 20-year-old man is like, so you have a problem.
Fix it so that we can be together.
I would like to be with you.
Work through this. Let's talk about it. Like, yeah, as we're recapping it, it's clicking more and more, like, how he was never... Like, even this, like, he's talking about sex with Rihanna.
Yes.
And
because there was a rumor that he was with Rihanna and that he fucked up a marriage and that he was gay, he was bi, he was all these things.
And he's just being
people
honest.
Say shit about me all the time.
Yeah, and he's talking about it, and he's just clear and honest.
So clear. Crystal fucking clear.
Who is the adult in this relationship? Whomst? Who is the mature one?
Oh.
I don't know. I think I'm catching on to what Robin was doing.
That's right.
She was making a point, and I appreciate it.
So page 210, Izzy finds out it's devastating. Her heart is broken. She feels like her mom stole the love of her life.
Also, Solène did a terrible job with that.
Terrible job. She kept it a secret for so long.
She was afraid.
After Hayes told her multiple times,
selfish.
You have to tell Izzy. Hayes was telling her the whole time.
Daniel. No. Daniel found out after Izzy found out.
Yeah, Daniel knew that they were client and he was like, something weird.
Y'all are fucking, yeah.
He's like, you can do that, but
that would devastate Izzy.
Just so you know. And like
her own shame keeps oh man. It really did hurt Izzy.
So Izzy is 12, and so she's got big feelings, and she felt like her mom stole away the love of her life. Which,
Mom, I love him.
But Daddy, I love him.
It was really cute.
It was cute. She's been listening to Taylor Swift's new album on repeat and saying that she finally understands her pain.
So Daniel was telling her this.
He goes, I don't even understand what that means.
You do.
Yes. I mean, yeah. If I were 12 and I found out that my mom was dating Harry Styles, I'd be like, you stole him from me. Yeah. I'm going to go grieve with Taylor Swift.
That feels like betrayal. And there is a way to get on the front end of that. And
have a conversation.
Have her therapist lined up. Because do not expect this baby girl to process this with you, ma'am. This is not...
She's mad at you.
She is hurt by you and feels betrayed by you, and she needs another safe adult to process this through so that she can... Yeah, I don't know. This was also going on at the same time that Daniel had knocked up his girlfriend, Eva, who he left Solène for. And so...
Izzy's whole world is changing, and that's hard for her. But you didn't give her any skills to deal with this.
And you didn't give her the common courtesy of talking about it before. She had so many... the betrayal of not telling her at that point, you're lying.
Yeah.
She lied, and you could hear the inner conflict over and over, but she lied many times.
So many times.
She just straight up lied.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like, we're still trying to figure out what this is.
Yeah.
No,
it's like, no, I'm dating him, but we're not sure.
Cowardly is the word I was looking for. It was cowardly.
For sure.
And granted, this is from a non-mom. I get that she was conflicted, but...
Yeah. I think Robin must be a Swiftie because she talks about Taylor Swift more than once in this book.
Good. Yes, she does.
Now everything was the end of the world. Battle hymn of the teenage girl. Also sounds like a Taylor Swift song.
Incredible.
Do you want to talk about it? I asked at least once a day. No, she said each time, slipping into her room. I'm okay. Then her door would close and Taylor Swift would begin. We were not yet out of the woods. No, you're not.
No.
And whose fault is that?
Also, do you want to talk about that for Isabel's wellness, or do you want to talk about that to assuage your guilt? Also, she's layering on the guilt. The problem, so there's the issue. It's first arrow, second arrow. The first arrow is the fact that she's dating Hayes in the first place.
Yes.
Yes, that's hard.
Ouch.
That's ouch. The second arrow that we could have done without
lied.
Is lying about it and keeping it a secret for that long, and having Isabel, how did she find out? She found out like through the paparazzi or something, or by the picture of Hayes Campbell going down on her mom. I think that's how she found out.
Was after. No, okay. She saw them kissing in the car.
Oh
like he dropped her off at home and they were making out in the car. And she's like, I thought you were asleep.
How did she find out in the movie? It wasn't that egregious. Or else we would have hated Solène. And we do.
I can't remember how she found out in the movie, actually.
Yeah. I think she just told her on the dock.
Through it on the dock. Oh, yeah, because the paparazzi
she was like,
pictures.
I hate you.
She picked her up at camp and the paparazzi pictures had already been out.
Yeah.
So they talked about it on the dock.
Yeah.
And she's like.
She said, I'm so sorry.
People are going to hate you.
Yeah.
And the daughter was like, but people hate happy women, so here we are, I guess. Like, they had a conversation.
She was also much older.
She's 17, I guess.
Yeah. But it's still, it was handled much differently.
Yeah.
So Anne Hathaway really said, there's some broken things in the story, and I'm going to fix it because I don't want anyone to read this or see this version of the story.
Okay, so page 226. So as many sex scenes as there are in this book, there's a lot. A lot of them are just like bathed in this like deep melancholia. Like as they're...
Yeah. Not from Hayes.
Not from Hayes, because this is all from her perspective. Like Hayes is having a great time. He's like, I love this
everything
woman.
that I'm hearing about from Hayes is like pure sex, like just hot, 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 hot.
Yeah, and so, but every time they're touching, she's like, well, one day I'm gonna miss this. It's like, what are you doing?
Infuriating.
So page 226. He leaned into me then, his mouth near my ear, his breath hot on my neck. The thought occurred to me that I would miss this when he moved on. When has he ever said?
Okay, so there's cute. How could he love a worm like me? And then there's like, this is no longer fun.
You are ruining this.
You're actually breaking this situation. But usually whenever there's this trope, whether it's Lucy in
The Hating Game.
The Hating Game, or like every other time we hear this trope of who could love a worm but me, and then you change my total self-concept, which is kind of a problematic trope in the first place. But anytime it comes up, it's resolved. Like she steps into her power and she's like, oh, I guess I do have worth as a human being.
I'm great. Yeah.
I guess that I matter and can take up space in this world. And it's this beautiful feminist story arc, but not here.
Not here. Okay. The thought occurred to me that I would miss this when he moved on. When he was with someone 10 years my junior and I was somewhere invisible, I was going to miss his hands. His thumb on my clit and my heart in my throat and the humidity enveloping us like a blanket. When I thought it might happen, that I might come right there in the courtyard of the setai. Oh, so beautiful.
Yes.
He stopped, pulling away. I reached for his arm. Where are you going? I'm not going anywhere, he said. Then he took his hand from between my legs and rubbed his wet fingers over my mouth, my lips, my tongue. I sat speechless. He smiled his half smile, took a swig of scotch, then kissed me deep. You, I said when I found my voice. Me, you are so fucking dirty. That is so hot. It would have been way hotter if I hadn't been fucking depressed. Leading into this sex scene, it's like, oh, this is so great. One day he's going to leave me for someone younger. Anyway.
Yeah. And like, there's this parallel. And then can we go back to the room now? I leaned in to suck on my lip. Am I? Can we go back to the room now? Not yet. He was smiling when his hand returned between my legs, his fingers slipping beneath my underwear, sliding up inside me, effortless. You are so fucking wet. I sat there for another minute, lost in him, and then grabbed his wrist, pay the bill, meet me upstairs, blah, blah, blah.
Hot.
He is not having these thoughts.
No.
He's just falling in love.
He's having a great time.
He's like, we're great together.
This works out so well for us.
He's not... That's what should be noted. Like, he's also not necessarily trying to prove that, like, she has worth. He's just like, this is how I feel about you. Your self-esteem and assumption that you will be an old hag one day, like, that belongs to you.
Yeah.
I think you're the one making that a problem.
Like, he's showing at every turn, like, with his actions and with his words, that he is
over and over
deeply attracted to her. And she's like, well, he's going to be with someone 10 years younger than me, I guess.
This is the story of a woman who did not work through her trauma.
No.
Because, like, this is what Daniel, we didn't say this yet, but this is what her ex-husband did, is he left her for someone younger, got a newer model. Like, it happens all the time. Yes. But, like...
He's being so clear.
But also, so can she.
Yes.
Like, it would have been so perfect. She could have a much younger model who's also a rock star.
That's right.
Like, if
it works both ways.
We're gonna, like... Yeah.
So the next page,
The feminist rage of it all.
she says, meet me upstairs. Super hot.
Yeah.
He turns on U2, like a deep bass, Bono singing in the background. Super hot. He lowered himself eventually, index finger running along the waist of my panties from hip bone to hip bone and back. Bono's voice lulling, sleep like a baby tonight. He paused for a second, his eyes finding mine, and then bowed his head, took the material in his teeth, and slowly pulled them off.
Absolutely, yes.
When he succeeded in getting them down at my ankles, he sat back, crossed his arms over his chest, his expression almost smug. What? What are you thinking? I want to see what you do when I'm not with you. It took me a minute to register his request. Now? Show me.
How often have you gotten a show me what you do when I'm not with you trope? Like, or moment? Not often.
Almost never. Like,
Hot.
Only usually, like, they do FaceTime sex or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that's, like, the only time.
That's the only time if it's phone sex, which they do allude to. It's very cute.
Yes.
But, like, that is such... Also, little sex ed, that is an excellent way to teach your partner about what you like.
Yes, 100%.
So helpful.
Like, show me what it feels good.
Also, so hot. Are you kidding me?
So hot.
It's so naughty. It's so hot. It's so, like... It's exhibition. It's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
Just let me watch you pleasuring yourself.
Yes.
And let me experience pleasure watching you in pleasure. Like,
Yes.
it's so good.
Bonus points if they talk to you.
And
Look, it works.
Come on. And he literally pulled her panties off.
With his teeth.
Come on.
Ma'am.
So we've written a perfect MMC.
He's great.
At 20. He's perfect.
He's figured it out at 20 years old.
It's just this book.
So, page 238, we are finally, like, having a... I mean, Hayes has been pretty clear the whole time.
He really has.
But he's finally sat her down and said, okay, let's talk about what we're doing here. Let's
What
have
is
a
this?
conversation.
Because he was on tour. He wasn't on tour. He's traveling a lot. And so...
Okay, so this is Hayes talking. I know what you're doing, and I'm not just going to stand here and let you push me away. You're trying to push me away. Maybe, I said. Why? You're a rock star. I'm a person. First and foremost, I have feelings. I know this career comes with a lot of baggage, but don't write me off because I'm in a fucking band. It's what I do. It's not who I am. It doesn't, what is it you say? It doesn't define me.
Oh.
What happened? He asked. It was going well. It stopped being just sex. It hasn't been just sex.
It has never been just sex.
In a long time, Solène. His words hung there, heavy like the Miami air. Where are we going with this, Hayes? Where do you want to go with this?
Where do you want to go with this?
Ma'am.
I could hurt her.
I want to go all the way. And in that moment, he sounded so sure of himself despite his tears. Fucking crying. So certain of the possibility of us. It was still quiet. You afraid? He asked. I nodded. So am I, but I'm all right with that. If I get hurt, I get hurt. It happens, right? Someone always gets hurt, but I don't want to miss out on us because I was afraid.
Let me tell you. And she says it herself later in the book, because here's the thing. Whew. So implicit and explicit. She explicitly tells Isabel that love, you have to just let it happen. It is scary. But, like, you have to make the choice to, like, okay.
You have to let yourself experience it.
And I remember, like, the moment on the back of the motorcycle with Jay where I was like, okay, I'm going to let this happen. And I know that either this is going to be the man to marry, or it's going to be the worst breakup of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like that moment where it's like, okay, here we are. I'm
I'm
now
gonna be
let
your
love
wife, or
happen.
I'm gonna curse you out. Like, there's two options here.
Yeah, like, okay, I and not everyone has that moment of clarity, but, like, there was a distinct moment of clarity for me because I had my heart broken, and I did know, like, oh, the depths of how much this could fuck you up. And yeah, like, it could have, and it might still, but, like, love is worth it.
It's worth it.
And this is a woman who has had her heart broken, but who has not healed, and she is not. Yeah, she's afraid to let it happen again. But she's explicitly telling Isabel that, like, this is how love works. You just have to take it for what it is.
But she's not taking her own advice.
But implicitly, what Isabel is learning and what Solène is actually living out is that it's too scary. Don't take a risk. Don't love. Don't actually, like, build a life with someone.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself out there. She's in her career, she is, but she's saying, like, the patriarchy wins. Misogyny wins. I think about this often with like as summer comes and, you know, health and fitness industry and living in a human body, a female body in this world. And it's just hard. And it's like, but you know, that my body image belongs to me, like my aging body image, like that belongs to me. That's no one else's. Like, yes, it's our culture. Like, and if someone explicitly does something to me or says something to me, like that belongs to them. But like my stuff belongs to me to work through and to take care of myself in, and to make sure, you know, I'm being kind to myself.
Yeah.
And Solène's not taking care of herself.
Okay.
Her inner critic is running rampant.
Always. 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Okay, so page 262, it's art and it makes people happy, and that's a very good thing. We have this problem in our culture. We take art that appeals to women, film, books, music, and we undervalue it. We assume that it can't be high art, especially if it's not dark and tortured and wailing. And it follows that much of that art is created by other women, and so we undervalue them as well. Yeah. We wrap it up in a pretty pink package and resist calling it art.
Hayes was quiet, processing. That's part of why I do what I do, to push back on that, to combat it.
Oh, you're right.
And that's why you should. So Harry Styles has said this, which is important. He has spoken to the point of like, hey, teen girl, like that's the point. That's actually, what are you trying to say? Girls like my music?
Girls like my music?
That's a bad.
I'm swimming in pussy.
Watermelon sugar.
Yeah.
Like.
What are you? I'm not
thriving.
I'm
actually.
not complaining about it.
He's like, this is a great.
I'm surrounded
life.
by hot women all the time.
Yeah, for sure. But so here is what I love, because so she is saying this, and my girlie's going to do a heckin' Waller. But she so to flip the script, because this is a beautiful little monologue right here. But for Solène to say this, that we have this problem in our culture. We take art that appeals to women and we undervalue it. This is a very feminist statement that she believes in, that she's living out with her work.
And she's saying, like, I want to elevate these voices. Like, this art is meaningful and important.
Other women.
Yeah.
But then her sexual
like
art, her
dreams,
wants and needs, her life.
I'm going to bury them under the ground.
She's like, no, this is shameful.
I can't believe.
This is silly. Because and Hayes asks at some point, like, are you ashamed of me? And it's like, no, she's ashamed of herself. It's the internalized misogyny.
Yes. Bathed in it.
Yes. And it's such a, it's just a wild, like, thing that she would be saying intellectually and even professionally, saying this really feminist, like, really, like, pro-women idea, but then privately be living out something else.
Exactly.
That interests me.
It's frustrating.
It was I was like,
she must be so deeply at war with herself.
Yeah, I think we can confirm.
The cognitive dissonance, like, how do you live that way?
Because she's trying to raise this 13-year-old, and she's like, I want her to glean these things. I want her to be this kind of woman. I want her to learn this. But she's doing something else entirely.
Your actions have to match what you're saying, or people will not believe anything that you're saying.
Yeah. Well, and like, it's I don't know, like in grad school, we have all kinds of like high-minded conversations about things, but like, what are you actually living out?
Yeah.
I don't know. The hypocrisy is not my favorite.
Okay, so page 296. Y'all, smut all over the place, folks. That's
pretty dirty smut.
It's great. I woke in the middle of the night to Hayes' mouth traveling the length of my spine, his lips, tongue, soft, descending to my ass, between my legs, before I could properly recall where we were. My screams stifled in the pillow, and when he was done, he flipped me over and did it again. Yes, ma'am. That's all we want as women. Flip us over and do it again.
It's just, that was the most fulfilling. Like, that he flipped me over and he did it again. Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually what I would like. Also,
correct.
You might have highlighted this later with fucking Oliver, but she's loud.
She's loud.
She's a screamer.
And she said that she wasn't. And Hayes is like, I disagree, actually.
Actually, according to my research.
My evidence says that you're not quiet.
Yeah, apparently, folks staying around them can hear, too. We love it.
Later on down this same page, again, with, like, super hot sex, dripping with melancholy.
One-sided melancholy.
Yes. I marveled at it. The way he fit me, thick, perfect, like no one had come before him, as if all of my life I'd been walking around with a Hayes-shaped vagina and never knew. Yeah. The idea made me smile, but then completely unexpected, I started to cry. He stopped moving, his free hand brushing my hair from my face. Are you all right? I nodded. Are you sure? Yes. Why are you crying? It's a little disconcerting when we're having sex and you're crying. Yeah.
Yeah.
The heel of his palm slid over my cheek. I'm sorry. Why are you crying, Solène? Because I love you. Because this is perfect and I don't want it to end. It was the most honest I'd been with him. 296. And this is the most honest you've been with him. Ma'am.
Y'all have been in a relationship for about a year now. And he has been honest since day one. But you are letting your wounds get in the way of being honest with him.
It was the most honest I've been with myself. So clearly.
Yes, we know.
And he's confused. Are you ending it? And I shook my head. Then there's no reason to cry. I'm not going anywhere. Like.
Yeah. It's a problem.
It's a huge problem.
And I'm glad that people in power, like Anne Hathaway, said, this is a problem.
This is not okay.
And I'm going to fix this.
On page 306, he's just so sweet and so fun and so hot.
Truly.
He was rough and fun, and I loved everything about it. At one point, when he was lying above me, inside of me, his chest against my back, his arms splaying mine, fingers entwined, he brushed his mouth against my ear and said low, do you feel like you could be my mother now?
This is when he's fucking her in her arse.
Yes.
It should be noted.
Yes, right above this is like, she's basically saying, you look so hot, I want to fuck you in your ass.
And then she's like, isn't there more required into getting to this stage of a relationship?
And she's like, I guess it just takes a couple drinks and Hayes Campbell.
Yeah, sure does.
Correct.
Sure does. Yeah, he's so secure.
Oh, it's so hot. Okay. So Solène eventually tells her parents who she's dating.
Very French parents.
French parents. Speaking French left and right. And her mom says to her, love, she said, was not always perfect and not exactly how you expected it to be. But when it descended upon you, there was no controlling it.
There was no controlling the love. There really isn't. You accept the things you cannot change. Change the things you can. Have the wisdom to know the difference. You cannot change or control love. You can change and control what you do about that.
That's right.
And because people use that as an excuse, right? Just like, well, I was just powerless over the love. And it's like, well, indeed, you cannot control that connection, but like, you're responsible for it.
You're responsible for it.
It belongs to you.
So everything pretty much goes to shit after this.
And this is the one I decided to read in the middle of the night. I was like, oh, let's finish the book. This is going to be great because they end up together, right?
Mm-hmm. So Izzy gets bullied at school. Some senior boy was like, hey, tell your mom I turned 18. Or like some girl asked for a picture of Hayes' dick. And like, okay, that's horrible. And so then she basically she calls Hayes while he's across the country, across the world. And she's like, we can't do this. And he's like, hey, don't, I can't do anything about this right now.
Yeah. This is not fair, actually.
I can't talk to you because we're miles apart. Please don't do this right now. Let's talk face to face.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't do this.
That's so unfair.
It was horrible.
That's so wrong. That's wrong to do to your partner.
And so, what does he do other than, leave the band, show up at her house, and say, I'm going to leave the band. I want to be with you.
Yeah. So
they hook up. They have sex in her bed.
We're literally landing the plane. We're covering none of this because it's just, it's so terrible.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to leave the band. We're going to be together.
No, he already did.
Yeah.
He left the band. He was like, no, he didn't tell her that, at the beginning. They had sex, and then his phone was blowing up, and then he was like, I've left the band.
I'm leaving the band. I want to be with you. This is more important to me than my boy band that I started.
Yeah. And he had already, and she said it, and I didn't highlight it, but she said it with his Tag Heuer campaign, the watch brand. She said the words, it clicked for her, that he had successfully done it. He differentiated himself from the boy band. He started a solo career with this ad campaign. He has a separate career now.
Harry Styles is proof. It can happen
so
for you.
Basically it was saying, oh, no, I'll ruin him. I'll ruin everything. I'll break up the band. And it's no, he has said multiple times that he wants, Like, that he doesn't want to be in this band forever.
He said that. He's like, this is not in game for me. Like, this boy bands don't last forever.
And but
their
she's
shelf
like,
life
no,
is like
live
5
it
years.
up, live it up. And he's like, I don't want to. Hence the tag here. Like, I'm actually actively trying to, like, this is fun, but I'm trying to differentiate myself. It was just so wild that, like, every piece was together for Hayes. Like, it made so much sense.
Yeah, so he tells her he's left the band, and she loses her absolute mind, and basically pushes him out of her house, and he's like, please don't do this. I want to be with you. Please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. She doesn't give him a say,
actually,
a choice.
traumatizing and devastating. It was one of the worst.
It was horrible. He's sobbing and saying, I don't understand. Like, you're pushing me away for something that's not even a real problem.
He was like, I've resolved this.
I fixed it already.
He was going to buy a house. Like, the house in the area, so Isabel could stay at school. Like, he's done everything that he can. Like, he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. So then the end of this book is just, we're moving through this breakup. Page 364. Yet, sometime in the middle of the night, when I assumed she was sleeping, she's talking about Izzy, she came into my room and climbed into my bed, her arm wrapping around me, her breath warm at the back of my neck. Mommy, are you crying? I was. Because of Hayes? I nodded. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Ma'am, your daughter should not be comforting you through the breakup.
I think Robin was making a specific point here. She was like, actually, so you thought you were doing this for your daughter. It's actually harming your daughter more.
Your daughter should not be holding your hand through this breakup.
Your daughter should not, like, doing this for you is one thing, but doing this for her, saying that this is for her wellness, that this is for Isabel, to protect Isabel. But then Isabel just felt all the blame, and she was like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't have been stronger. And it's like, oh my God, it's the mom's job to be the adult. And it's the child's job to be the child. Like, so traumatizing.
Yeah. A few pages later, she's talking to Izzy again. Like, the way that she handles this with Izzy is so wrong. And I'm just...
Yeah.
Anyway. Love is this very precious thing it's this precious, magical thing, but it's not finite. There's not a limited amount of it out there. You just have to be open to allowing it to find you, allowing it to happen. I was not entirely sure I believed this, but I needed her to. And for a long time, I closed myself
off. She will learn what you explicitly teach, not what you implicitly... Or she will learn what you implicitly teach, not what you explicitly say.
For a long time, I closed myself off to it because it was easier and safe, but I wasn't necessarily happy. And Hayes is young. He has many, many years ahead of him. He's going to fall in love again and again. Even if he doesn't realize that right now, he will. Hayes is going to be okay. Promise. How do you know that?
You don't get to decide that.
You have destroyed him. You destroyed him.
Like, he got back with the band. Like, that is so... Like, want to talk about, like, passing on trauma. Like, now how is he going to trust... Like, it's just... That doesn't belong to her to care for his emotional... But, like, this is so harmful. It's harmful.
She harmed him.
It would have been better to... Like, there was a time, like, at some point before he, like, made the choice. If she was like, oh, this is too much. Like, the paparazzi... Like, there were several points at which there was, like, to find the relationship of, like, hey, that we're getting in really deep. Like, is this what we want? Like, is this okay? And Solène was like, like, let's keep going. Or she was like, no, but yes.
Yeah, like, so a lot of times she'd be like,
so much more harmful.
She would have this whole, like, emotional breakdown, like, I can't do this. And then by the end, he talked her down and she's like, okay, fuck it. Like, who cares? We'll keep doing it. And then Hayes offered so many solutions to her problems. I'll buy you security cameras. I will get security to stand outside your house. Like, I will protect you from this. Like, there's a way to live.
He was like, I agree. These are problems. Shall we fix them?
There are solutions to these problems.
And she was willfully not taking those solutions.
And not telling him of all the things that were happening to her, like people sending her dildos in the mail and, like, all of these things. She didn't tell him until he found one in her house, and he was like, what is this?
And he, like, she didn't tell him about the graffiti, the defacing of her art gallery. And it's like, this is not helpful.
You have to communicate.
You're withholding this information from him. That's unfair.
Yeah. Like, she
was a martyr. This is a rescuer martyr. Not even a rescuer. She's
martyring herself for no reason.
She's martyring herself, and she's harming everyone in the process.
So the very end of the book, this is the last page 372. He called me in the beginning every day, multiple times.
Oh, I can't. Don't read this.
Although
this was gut-wrenching.
I would not answer, and he texted.
No.
At first often, then every few days or so. It went on for months. These little messages that would paralyze me, and to which I resisted responding because I had made a choice. I miss you. I'm thinking of you. I still love you. And then one day they stopped, long, long before I had stopped loving him. Are you being so fucking for real?
I was physically ill.
I'm pissed.
It is such, you know, it doesn't have to be this hard.
You made it hard.
Life is hard enough. The paparazzi, like all the, like, yeah, that's hard. But like, we can work through that. Like, that's resolvable. Like, we can work through that. Yes, that is hard, but it's the first arrow, second arrow. Like, she made it exponentially harder because of what? Because of her insecurities, her own bullshit, and her own self-sabotaging. I have never been angrier, actually, reading a book.
She claimed the reason that she was ending her relationship with Hayes was because of Izzy.
No.
It was not.
No.
It was not because of Izzy.
That's what was so... And like, I keep saying selfish because it's... And I don't mean that to, like, mom shame at all. But I just truly hate... And I think that this was Robin's point. I truly hate that she was couching this as it being a way to sacrifice for her daughter. I have to do this for her. Izzy just can't take it. Izzy can't... And no, it's because you're not protecting her.
You didn't teach her anything about resiliency at all.
And you lied to her.
You lied to her multiple times.
Like, if you would have told her this early on, she could... Yeah, there's a million ways this could have gone. This was self-serving.
It's such an easy explanation. Izzy, you're 12 years old. It's not appropriate for you to have a relationship with Hayes. We're both adults. We're going to be in this relationship. It's pretty cool,
Let's go to family therapy. Like,
Hayes is going to be, like, hanging around.
Also, Hayes talked at the pool. He talked to her, and they had a great conversation.
Hayes handled it better than any of the other adults in this book.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, this really sucks.
It sucks.
It was so beautiful.
Like, I like you. I want to hang out with you.
It was like, I forget how he said it, but it was very like,
I love your mom.
This sucks. I really love your mom, and we're going to move through this together.
And I want to hang out with you.
Yeah, like, how can we move through this together? It was very mature and beautiful, and like, she responded really well to it. She was like, cool.
She's like, yeah.
You know what Isabel needed? She needed the adults to be the adults.
Yeah.
She needed the adults
to crawl into bed with her mom who was crying over the pop star.
Yeah.
She didn't need to be doing that. Actually, that could have been avoided.
Yeah. Like, it just, but to say that it was out of, and I see moms do this. They're like, well, this is what's best for the kids. And I'm just working it, and I have complicated relationship with the subject at hand, but just the idea of doing it for the good of your kids when it is in fact what you're using that as an excuse, that really bothers me.
Yeah. And
Isabel just needed a safe and healthy mom.
If you're doing something for the good of your kids, make sure you know it's what is actually good for your kids and not what you think.
And talk about it with safe and trusted others.
Yeah.
Like, talk about
reality test with other people.
Her
friends were telling her,
go to your own therapist. Like, talk to
her. Even her friends were like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard, but like, he seems great.
Also, every other older woman woman my age who she talked to was like, oh my God, get yours. That's incredible.
He sounds so hot.
You inspired me to get on Tinder and start dating, and he's 35. Oh. And like, it was every interaction. I don't think there was a single time, and that's the theme here, is that the actual interaction she had with her peers, it was like, go on, girl.
Yeah.
Good
her
for
friends
you.
were like, hell yeah.
The other women were like, this is empowering. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The only people that had an issue with it were the teenage girls that were in love with Hayes. Like, yeah.
And you know what?
That's going to happen.
The teenage girls have a problem with everything. That's not knocking it. It's just,
man.
I mean, Taylor breathes wrong, and
everybody.
Yeah, everyone has
she
something
sells
to
an
say.
extra vinyl, and apparently we're.
Yeah, it's just so like in Harry Styles in One Direction, I'm sure it was the same of just like, oh, they changed their hair and we are all up in arms. Like,
I mean, when he shaved his head, I was upset.
How are we gonna call him Harry Styles if he ain't got no hair? Yeah, so she made up these problems herself. This was wild to read. This was so unexpected. I think that's what it felt like too. It was so unexpected because the movie was not this.
No. They end up together in the movie.
It's so great.
Robin, what the fuck?
So this is her.
Yeah.
Robinne Lee is an actor, writer, and producer, graduate of Yale University and Columbia Law School.
A Yaley.
What? Like it's hard? Robin has appeared in both television and film, including opposite Will Smith in both Hitch and 7 Pounds, and as Roz Bailey in 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Free. You're 50 Shades girly.
Oh my God.
Do you recognize her?
Yes, she's in the helicopter with Christian when you haven't seen this one, but when the helicopter goes down, she's like in the helicopter with him. Yeah.
How wild is that?
That is crazy.
Universes collide. I think she's making a point. I think this is a well-educated woman who is talented and in the entertainment industry, and who knows.
Making a point, I guess.
She knows. She's like, yeah, this is fucked up. And this is what older women are doing. They're shooting themselves in the foot because they're not working through their shit. And they want better for their daughters. They want better for their daughters, but they're not doing better for themselves. And you know how girls learn? They learn by watching the women who've gone before them, and it's crucial.
Why do you think we have all this perpetuated shit like all in our lives? It's because we watched other people do it forever.
Yeah.
Like
because they didn't rise up and do anything about it.
Women have been doing that forever. We just watch them. We're like, I guess that's how we talk about other women.
Be the change you want to see.
No, it's not.
Like, it sucks to go first. It sucks to be the one who's like, yeah, I'm the only person in my friend group dating someone 20 years younger. Okay. Yeah.
But we're having really hot sex and he loves me. He treats me really well.
You know what's actually kind of cool is just being true to yourself.
Yeah.
True to your values. And having integrity. It's actually kind of cool.
You can't
live anyone else's life.
And you can't go through your life constantly worried about the what ifs. Coming from a girly who has diagnosed anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spiral about the dumbest shit all the time. I like to do that. It's really fun for me.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. However, you are going to miss out on your entire life if you don't do things because what if I get hurt?
There will always be a what if. Oh my God.
You can't do that. You're going to miss your entire life. You're going to miss Hayes Campbell.
And I've watched people do it. I've watched people, and I mean, not just like clinically, but it's the reason why I try to take risks and do scary things. And I'm not trying to terrify myself and others, but sometimes it's important to do the new thing.
Yeah.
And go to the new place and stretch yourself and learn and make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's actually safe to make mistakes and learn. Be wise. And there was just so many ways. I love that Anne Hathaway was like, I've got to rewrite this. This is, and not to, she rewrote it for film because this would have been absolutely horrible.
I would not have enjoyed the movie.
No one would have. It would be so angsty and horrible. But yeah, to rewrite, there were just so many ways this could have, she could have had more people she was talking to about it than
she could have gone to therapy.
I don't know, hot take. She could have gone to therapy. But to hide it with such secrecy and shame was pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder when we do these episodes, because on a couple platforms, our podcast is qualified as comedy, which is hilarious, first of all. And second of all, this was not comedic at all.
We have a few. We have a few episodes that are decidedly not comedic.
Yeah. And we've got a few that are decidedly hilarious coming from me.
What's objectively hilarious? What's the saying? Comedy is tragedy plus time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few years this will be really funny.
Tragedy over time. Yeah. Maybe in a few years it'll be
yeah, tragedy over time equals comedy. It's math, folks.
It's just math. It's an equation. But it's comedy. This is laughably awful.
Yeah.
Because Hayes is perfect. She is getting in her own way.
At no point did he ever even insinuate that he wanted to leave. Never did he do that.
In fact,
at every turn he was like, I'm not leaving. What about you?
Well, and even at the beginning he was like, I'm in it, but we're still getting to know each other.
Yeah. And
it was so great. It was honest. He was like, no, I'm seeing where this goes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fuck anybody else right now. I like you.
Yeah. Let's travel with me a little more. Yes. Wow.
I think Solène needed a little bit of Taylor in her life. She could have learned something from Izzy, I think. Izzy was processing that on her own through Taylor Swift, and that is the way that you do that.
That is 100% the way that you do that. Feminine Rage the musical.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a Feminine Rage situation. I'm fascinated.
I'm a woman who is enraged. So
yeah, I am. Well, and I think I mean, the subtext to all of this that I think we've said is that we are enraged about it because, yeah, we've thought the same things. We have the same internalized
The insecurities
misogyny.
are all there. However, the difference is, like, when someone tells me something and their actions follow and they are continually honest, I'm going to believe them because they are showing me that they are who they are.
At some point, I might just be the one who's fucking things up.
Yeah.
Like, if they are
If they are clear, consistent, communicative,
have integrity, they follow through,
they go down on you on a boat,
that'll do it every time. But it's like, when people tell you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
It goes both ways.
So, like, when people tell you that, oh, well, those are their true colors, like, we should believe that.
Yeah.
But also, Hayes showed his true colors, and you didn't believe him.
And you didn't believe him, even though he was, at no point did he ever insinuate that he wasn't being honest and clear.
But our own shit got in the way. And let me tell you, I live every day working to not have my own shit get in the way.
Do you know how much I have to make sure my own shit doesn't get in
Do
my
you
way?
know how my day-to-day life is really... There's a lot of work around...
My
Not letting
constant
my
inner
own
dialogue
shit.
is like, okay, is this about me? No, that's just my own brain.
Reality testing.
Yes.
Just a constant, like, grounding in, okay, so...
That must be something that's inside of me. I don't think I need to be upset about this right now.
Is everyone else out to get me? What if they say it's not about me?
But what if it is?
So sometimes we have to say yes. It could be.
What if it is?
It's relatable. Like,
It is.
That's why I feel like we feel so strongly about it because we're all working through it ourselves.
That's right.
We're all working through Hayes Campbell loving us.
Look, we can speed through our rankings. Hayes Campbell is a 5 in the streets, a 5 in the sheets.
Yeah.
He's perfect.
The point was made. We received the point.
The point was there.
He was not the problem.
Yep.
I have never had a harder time with an FMC.
Never. I like Feyre more than I
like Feyre more than I like Solène.
Oh my god! And I don't like Feyre. So
Yeah, I mean, I liked Solene's like audacity to like follow the romance in the first place.
Sure.
And to be with him in the first place. I thought that was really beautiful, and I thought that it was going in a much different direction.
Yeah, I think if I were her friend, I would have to be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like
Lily did.
Yeah,
She's like, I just want you to be happy, and you love him, and he loves you, and you're happier than you've ever been.
So what's the problem?
Yeah, like, how can I support you?
Yeah, like, bro.
Everyone at the art gallery did everything they could to make it easier.
Yeah.
Robin, your point was made. We can be our own worst enemy.
Yeah. So I'm not going to assign a number to her, but I don't like her. I don't think she's...
I think that she's the shadow side that a lot of folks are working through. Like, I think a lot of folks will identify with what she's working through, but she's not. I don't know that I would say she's working through it.
Yeah. The plot. Now, okay.
Was there a plot?
Was there a plot? I don't think that... What happened?
There wasn't a plot.
What happened?
That's the fanfic of it.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't...
Like,
This was their relationship. This was Solene's inner...
She's telling us a story. She's like, I met this guy. We fucked here. We fucked here. We fucked here. We fucked here. I fucked it all up. Here's the end. Like, nothing really happened. We're just along for the ride. Like,
there was no actual plot. Oliver was maybe the only one where it was like, oh, now we see that he was in love with Hayes. Which, like, Hayes had such integrity to not say that.
Yeah, he's like, hey, that's not mine to tell.
But, like, of course, I would be in love with him too. But
same. At all times.
That was really the only, like, where is this going? The big, like...
And it wasn't even explicitly said. It was like, you just kind of have to read between the lines and be like, I guess he just was jealous of Solène.
This was just the inner wrestlings of
inner wrestlings
40-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the name of this book.
It was the inner wrestlings of a 40-year-old woman who willfully refused to step into her power.
Literally was resisting at every turn.
Just to be authentic
to
and have
accept the
integrity.
fact that she was a strong, beautiful, powerful woman.
Which is what everyone else was saying.
At every moment of the book.
So that was infuriating. That was infuriating. So was there a plot and did we care? No, there was not a plot.
Did we care?
If this was the plot, then I was invested.
I cared about the sex.
I cared very much. Okay, sex, spicy
Smut level.
Yes. I know, you named it really well of like, there's a lot of fade to black.
Yeah. There's a lot of like...
Pieces, parts.
Yes. It's smattered throughout, probably once a chapter after they first...
it really is once a chapter. There is something explicit at least once a chapter.
Yeah, but it's usually something like, and then we did it again.
I mean...
Or like, my body
then he tore my panties off.
And and then it's fade to black. Or like, my body's gonna be is so sore from all the fucking. Like, it's things like that. And there are... Like, I read the most explicit things that are in this book, including the ass fucking scene that's in this book.
Yes. But, like, the lead up, the foreplay, the I want you, like, there's a lot of great, like, setup. But, yeah, if your cup of tea is, like...
A full start to finish sex scene with, like, tension, foreplay.
Like, several pages of description, then this is not
This is not your vibe.
But this is very beautiful.
Yeah. If you don't have a problem with your, like, using your imagination, then this is
similar
great.
to, what was it? Was it the Hayden game that was like that?
Yeah.
The Hayden game and even some parts of, well, we've read many books that are like that, where it is, there's more of a
haze
there's
over.
a storytelling where you fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was unlike anything I've read, really.
Yeah.
I want more reverse age gap. Reverse age gap? Is that what this is?
Reverse age gap?
That feels
hot.
so patriarchal and misogynistic to even say, but like, I want an age gap romance where...
I mean, every age gap romance that we've read has been older man, younger woman. Which is also hot.
It is hot, exactly. it's the forbidden love of it. But wow.
Also, if you are a fan of any kind of tension building, there is not a scrap of tension in this book. Not a scrap.
What do you mean?
Like, sexual tension, there's not.
Oh, no, it's just sex right ahead.
Yeah.
Right away.
There's not, no.
There's no will they, won't they.
Oh, they will.
There is will she, won't she fuck up her life.
Yeah, and she will.
And she will. But there is no, that's true. There's no tension building. There's just like a constant low grade, not low grade.
It's just like.
There's like, it reaches climax, but it's just like the undulating waves of explicit fucking rock star.
It kind of feels like we are having one long sexual encounter throughout the whole book.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that felt really hot to me, and it kept me really engaged.
Yes.
I was like,
I mean, it worked. I felt it.
You were quite pleased. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, it was one long, like, it was all hot.
Yeah,
it was all like laced with tension, but not. There was no. It wasn't
everything was dripping with sex all the time.
It was not a slow burn.
Everything Hayes said was
everything was sexual.
Everything he said was like. Yeah, we've got this thing, and then we're gonna fuck later, and then like everything he said was like, and also we're gonna fuck later.
And this is what I'm going to do to you.
Yeah,
and
which was hot.
You're gonna like it,
and you're gonna like it, and you're not gonna feel like my mother. He said, I think he said at one point I'm gonna make you feel like a hooker or something.
Yeah. yeah. And we all did actually. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yes, the spice level that's a. I don't know what else to compare it to.
Yeah. So, if that's what you're into...
Worth your time. I would say this is worth your time if you want to be filled with some feminine rage along with it.
I would say read up until the 80% mark. And then be done.
And I mean, the breakup sex is...
It's not that great.
It's not that great. It's just...
It's sad.
The rage and the grief is just too much.
It was like, he's crying, I'm crying, we're hooking up. Oh no, he left the band. Leave my house immediately.
What did she say? She said something like, he was fucking me, like trying to keep me with every thrust. And
yes.
I'm like, I can't read this.
That's not hot.
This is heartbreaking.
That's not hot at all.
This is not okay. I was like, I don't
angrily reading at a party.
I don't like it. Yes, angrily scrolling. Yes. So, wow, what a book. We just thought this would be fun.
Silly, goofy times.
We were like, this is a great little fluff book. A great little fluff movie. Let's read the book.
No.
Au contraire. Is that French?
That's French.
You're welcome.
On the contrary. Okay, so that was the idea of you. Tread lightly with that one. Proceed with caution. This is your official warning.
Do you think Colleen Hoover girlies would like this?
Probably.
Is that why we
They
hated
love
it?
to just break their own hearts
The angst.
at all times.
I think that. Oh no, that just clicked. That this is like a Colleen Hoover.
I don't like to hurt my own feelings.
I don't. Do you know what I do all day? work with things that are hurting.
That's
and
right.
This is no. Don't need it in a book, but maybe if you like a Colleen Hoover moment.
That's
this would
right.
be.
So stay tuned for Pride Month. We've got some LGBTQIA plus romances coming your way.
Some features.
Yes, we would love to. We're so excited to read some male, female, some smutty goodness.
Yes.
So be on the lookout for those.
Don't worry, we will rope Bean into this.
We will force him to read whatever book it is we're going to read.
And then give us feedback.
Make him feel all nervous and uncomfortable on the podcast. When it's straight people, he's like, yeah, it's fine.
Sure. I have questions about vulvas.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a good time. As always, if you like this podcast, rate and review it wherever you listen. Any review helps, so we appreciate that. And follow us on socials at Smut is Better with Friends. And send us your thoughts, comments, feelings, suggestions to smutisbetterwithfriends@gmail.com.
Let us know, y'all. Chime in.
Try not to steer you in the wrong direction with these books.
Yeah, we're trying to be as honest as possible.
That's right. And until next time, for the love of God, go to therapy.
Just go to therapy.
Go to therapy. Bye.
Bye.